Imagine stopping at a nearly empty gas station late at night. A single mother, exhausted after a double shift, notices a rough-looking biker struggling to pay for his gas. Most people would have looked away, maybe even judged him. But she steps forward, pulls out her own few dollars, and pays for his tank. She doesn't know that this small act of kindness will echo into the next night, when a far darker threat emerges. By then, the biker won't be alone. He'll be riding with his entire crew, and they'll arrive just in time to change everything. This is a story of quiet courage, unspoken bonds, and the ugly shadow of racism that still stalks too many streets in America. It was a damp autumn evening in a small southern town. Angela, a 32-year-old single black mom, had just closed up at the diner where she worked the night shift. Her feet ached, her tips were thin, and she was thinking only of getting home to her 8-year-old son, Malik. She pulled into the only gas station open after midnight. The flickering neon sign buzzed overhead, casting long shadows across the empty lot. Angela was used to the wary stares in this part of town. She knew which corners to avoid, which gas stations felt safe. This one wasn't the best, but she was running on fumes. As she filled her tank, she noticed a man by the next pump. Tall, bearded, in a worn leather jacket with the emblem of a winged hawk on the back. He was patting his pockets, glancing toward the cashier window, clearly coming up short. Something in his posture, frustration mixed with quiet embarrassment, struck her. In another life, she might have ignored him, especially since she'd seen how people in biker cuts were often stereotyped. But something in her gut said otherwise. She went inside, told the cashier to add $20 to pump 3. The man looked over, startled, and gave a slight nod. A nod that carried the weight of someone not used to being helped. Angela didn't stay to chat. She paid for her own gas, got back in the car, and drove home, unaware that her simple kindness had been noticed in a way she couldn't imagine. The next evening, Angela worked the late shift again. Walking to her car in the dimly lit parking lot, she noticed a white pickup circling the block. Its engine slowed as it passed, then disappeared into the night. A few blocks later, as she drove home, the same truck appeared in her rearview mirror. This wasn't the first time she'd felt the prickling unease of being watched. For weeks, she'd gotten strange looks from a group of local men who often hung around near the diner. Men who had made comments under their breath about people like her. Until that night, she had brushed it off. She tried to tell herself it was just her imagination. But when she parked outside her small duplex, the truck slowed again, then idled at the corner before finally driving off. She hurried inside, locked the doors, and sat by the window long after Malik had gone to sleep. The next day at the diner, she confided in her friend Carla. Carla suggested calling the police, but Angela knew from experience that unless something actually happened, the call would likely be brushed aside. That night, after another late shift, the situation escalated. As Angela drove home, the same truck tailed her more aggressively, at times pulling up close to her bumper. Her heart pounded as she turned down quieter streets, hoping to lose them. When she finally parked, 2 figures got out of the truck and started walking in her direction. Angela grabbed her phone, ready to dial 911, when the low growl of motorcycle engines cut through the silence. Out of the darkness emerged 3 bikes, headlamps glaring, exhausts rumbling like distant thunder. The riders slowed as they approached the corner. Angela's eyes widened as she recognized the man from the gas station, the winged hawk emblem now more visible on his jacket. The pickup truck hesitated. The bikers didn't shout or posture. They pulled up, their presence enough to tip the balance. The 2 men by the truck muttered something and climbed back into the car. The truck roared away into the night. Angela stayed frozen in her car for a moment, trembling, not sure whether to feel relief or new fear. The biker nodded once at her, then tapped the side of his helmet as if to say, "We saw. We're watching." The following night was worse. Angela finished her shift and asked a coworker to walk her to the car. For most of the drive home, the streets were empty until she turned onto her block. There it was again, the white pickup parked in the shadows. This time, as she passed, it pulled out and followed close behind. She didn't drive straight home. Instead, she circled the block, hoping to find a patrol car or at least buy herself time. The truck stayed glued to her bumper. Her hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, as she reached a deserted intersection. That's when it happened. The truck swerved ahead of her, blocking the road. Two men jumped out, one carrying what appeared to be a length of pipe, Angela's. Breath came in sharp bursts as she locked her doors and reached for her phone before she could press call, the night filled with the unmistakable thunder of engines. Louder this time. Closer. From both ends of the street, half a dozen motorcycles rolled in, their headlights sweeping across the scene. Among them was the same man she'd helped at the gas station, his face set, eyes fixed on the two men. The pickup driver hesitated, then cursed and ran back to the cab. The other man dropped the pipe and stumbled after him. The truck sped off into the night, tires screeching. Angela sat frozen, tears of relief streaming down her cheeks. The bikers didn't approach her car. They stayed until the truck had disappeared and the street felt safe again. Then, with a few nods, they rode off into the darkness. The next day, Angela reported the incident to the police. This time, with her statement and the plate number she had memorized, the authorities took action. Two men were later questioned for harassment and intimidation. Angela never saw the bikers again, at least not up close. But once in a while, as she drove home after work, she would catch sight of a motorcycle parked on a distant corner, its rider watching quietly, and she would feel a little safer. Word spread in the diner about what had happened. Some customers shook their heads in disbelief, that a group often painted as lawless and dangerous had stepped in where others wouldn't. Others nodded, as if they understood that kindness sometimes travels in unexpected circles. For Angela, the experience was a stark reminder of how fragile safety can feel for a single black mother in a town where prejudice still lurks in the shadows. But it was also a reminder of the ripple effect of one small act of empathy. She had reached into her wallet on a tired night and paid for a stranger's gas. In doing so, she had unknowingly bought herself an ally, one who, when the moment came, stood between her and danger. This story isn't about excusing stereotypes or painting any group as saviors. It's about the unexpected ways humanity can show up against the backdrop of injustice, and about how courage often begins with a simple choice to see someone else's need. Narrator's closing note. How often do we overlook chances to change someone's night, maybe even their life, with a small act of kindness? And how much stronger would our communities be if we stepped in for one another, especially when hatred tries to take root?